I'm super proud of myself. I have read 17 books in January. Let's talk about them and let's see how I've managed to do that. Hi, my name's Rachel. I do videos about decluttering, minimalism and my no spend year. And because I was doing a no spend year, I wanted to set myself some distractions to ensure that I wasn't trying to spend money. Part of my no spend means I'm not allowed to buy books. However, I have found ways around reading lots of new books that has helped me. And I have struggled with chronic fatigue for quite a while now. And one of the biggest things that I found really frustrating and like heartbreaking was that I was not able to read because reading is so fatiguing to me. Even just looking at the words, if they are written too small, if the print is too small, I struggle to be able to read it and to be able to concentrate and to be able to get through it or be motivated to read. So I needed a new strategy. And what I have done previously is I've used my library card to be able to use ebooks or audiobooks, but never really used it to its full potential. So this year I have gone all in and I have got Borrow Box with my library card attached, and I'm now able to access audiobooks and things like that. I just found that when I was looking at ebooks on my phone, I just found the print can be bigger and it just made it easier to flick through, and it almost gave me a bit of an addiction having to flick through the pages, almost like when you're scrolling in TikTok or social media. It just means that I'm able to feel motivated to read. It feels more accessible. So I've done various ebooks and I've also done a lot of audiobooks. Because I've got a ban on buying books, I'm finding ways around that ban. So my motivation to read this year is that for every book I read, I'm going to put £1 towards a little bit of a book spending spree. I aim to buy secondhand. I don't often buy new because I just don't feel like it's worth it. Also, because I'm trying to be sustainable with that as a process. So £1 for every book I read, and also for any book that I sell, which I'm now using World of Books to sell. I've got a bunch of books that I'm ready to post that I have gone through and are teaching books that I don't need anymore, that are not like relevant to what I'm doing. So I've decided that every time I get like a bit of a box to fill, I will try and read those books and then I can try and sell them. So that's my like motivation. So any money I make from selling books, I can then put towards buying some newer books. So I'm able to maintain the level and also not be out of pocket, other than the pound per book that obviously will be out of pocket. So 17 books that I've read this month, and I've done it on a little tracker. I've used my bullet journal and created some pages. They're not very inspirational. I just don't have the mental capacity and the creative capacity or the fatigue energy levels to do it, but this is my overview. So I'll go in order of the books that I read. I've done a lot of audiobooks, let me count them. Out of the 17, there are 12 audiobooks. Audiobooks have really made a difference. I know some people say that they don't count as reading, but they absolutely do. If you've got a chronic illness and you're struggling with energy levels or anything to do with that, audiobooks are a great one because there's less to think about when you're listening. It's easier to process. I can still picture the story. I'm still hearing all the words, but it just takes the strain out of having to read it all and process it at the same time. So it does make it a more achievable thing. I also listen to audiobooks in the car when I'm commuting to work, there and back. I also do it when I'm doing other jobs around the house. And I've watched very little TV this month, and I've kind of prioritized listening to audiobooks or reading. I found ways to read more and I do feel better for it. I feel like I switch off more from like tech stuff, although sometimes I am reading an ebook, so that is technically a tech thing. But I am doing more audiobooks, so it does feel like I'm able to switch off and just picture what is happening. So the first book I read was The Wake Up Call by Beth O'Leary. I've read quite a few Beth O'Leary books this month. I'm really liking her style. I like the two-person narrative that runs through, and yeah, I think most of her books I've really enjoyed. The first one I only gave it a 3 stars, The Wake Up Call. I liked it, but there was something about the characters that just weren't enough for me. I did enjoy it, and it was an easy read. The next one was In Order to Live, which is a really powerful tale of the reality of North Korea. If you want to put life into perspective and actually find out what's really going on, this is her escape from North Korea, which was harrowing and really hard to hear and to read, but it's really powerful and a really interesting story. And it just kind of alarms you as to how dangerous certain places in the world can be. So, and that is current day. This is a woman that's written, and she's only a couple of years younger than me, and her life has been completely different in a way that it shouldn't have been. Really sad to read, but really inspirational as well. The next one was You'd Be Home Now by Kathleen Glasgow. I gave that one 5 stars. The previous book I gave 5 stars as well, just because I thought it was so powerful. And I really liked You'd Be Home. I thought it was a really well written book. I did try and read another book of hers, but I didn't quite get into it. But I might give that one another go. But this one I thought was really powerful, a lot about struggle and joy and kind of inspiration. So that was really interesting. The next one was The Gawa Food Detectives. I'm really sorry that I can't say that. I gave that one a 4 stars. I read that as an ebook. It was a really quick read, a really short read, and it's almost like a little recipe book for Japan, which I found really interesting. It's about people wanting to find a meal from their childhood, and this chef basically finds out all about them and creates the meal that they've been thinking of in the way that they thought it would be. It's really lovely. Really liked it. The next one was The Space Between the Stars, which was really thought provoking. It's just one of those makes you think and put things into perspective. I gave that one 3 stars. It wasn't the most amazingly written book, but I did enjoy it. The next one was Make Your Bed. It's based on a speech that an ex-army soldier did at a graduation, and it's just about kind of key principles to live by, which I thought was really good. I gave that one 4 stars because I thought it was really inspirational and really to the point and gave me some really great ideas on what to do. The next book I really loved was I Hope This Finds You Well. I gave this one 5 stars. Really funny. It's all the things you want to say but hold back from saying. And I just thought it was brilliant. It's a debut story from Natalie Sue, but I'm going to put her on my authors I love because I think her next book will be great. I'm hoping for that one to come out soon. The next story was The Keeper of Stories. I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I thought The Keeper of Stories was really heartwarming and reflective and just a nice way of intertwining different lives. Next was The Road Trip. I gave this one 5 stars. This is by Beth O'Leary. I just really loved it. It was emotional, heartwarming in all the right ways. I think this is the one that they have turned into a series. I think they've turned maybe some of the other books of hers into series, but that one's just come out, I think. But I just thought it was a really lovely story and I really enjoyed that one. Next was Days at the Morisaki Bookshop. I gave that one 4 stars, had that one as an audiobook. I really liked the kind of general message of inspiration and hope after a difficult period in somebody's life. Next one was a bit of a thriller. It was Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister. I think she's got a new book out any minute, so I'm going to watch her. She's on my book of authors I love. I really liked the fact that the story went back in time. Every time the woman woke up, she'd find out new information about a murder that happened, and it was just really interesting how it developed and how it unwound, and I just liked the style of writing. I then read Bird by Anne Lamott. I think that's how you say it. Last book was 5 stars. This book is 5 stars. It was just this one, Bird by Bird, is talking about the reality of writing and what that means. Just thought that was a really interesting idea of understanding what writing means and what it should mean. And I do want to write something at some point. I've written obviously Little Acts of Decluttering, but I want to write a fiction book at some point, and I just think that was a really helpful information. Next up, I read The Switch, which is Beth O'Leary again, and it's about a grandma and granddaughter that swap lives for a little bit. And I gave it 5 stars. I really liked the way the tale wove through and what happened. Yeah, just found it really interesting. and it kind of focused on burnout and recovery and things like that. Gave that one 5 stars. I then read The Burnout by Sophie Kinsella, also about stress and overcoming it. But a really nice tale. I really liked the story and where it's set in Devon. And yeah, I just really liked the way it went. I then read The Couple Next Door. I finished that one yesterday. That was 5 stars. Really loved it. Lots of twists and turns, and it was quite fast paced. I was really keen to keep reading it. So really enjoyed that one. And if you're wondering how I've got through so many books, I listen to audiobooks at 1.75 speed. That is my speed level. Sometimes I'll do it at 2, but it depends on the reader and the pace they're reading. I just find that if they read at a standard slow pace, it's just too slow for me. I'm quite a fast reader anyway, so for me I need the story quite fast. That's just kind of how I need to listen. I do have a book that I didn't finish. I tried Cleopatra and Frankenstein, but I just couldn't get into it. I don't know what it was, but something just didn't gel for me and it just felt off. There are books that I just can't get into, like I can't read Harry Potter. I am one of those people, but I just couldn't get into that one. I've also then read Jog On by Bella Mackie. There's a few of her books that are on my TBR list, so I'm hoping to read some more. I listened to it as an audiobook, and it's about her journey with running or jogging as like a way of self-healing and the power of exercise and how it saved her life. I have got a similar journey, but with a different sport. I can't run because of chronic fatigue, but badminton is something that I've always been able to do and I really love, and that kind of gives me a very similar effect and feel. So that's kind of something that I could relate to a lot, but I will consider trying jogging and seeing if I can build up my level of exercise, but it's taken a lot to be able to just do a bit of badminton at the minute, so that's kind of where I'm at. And then I've just done a reread of The Comfort Book by Matt Haig. I really love his books. I just think they're so inspirational and so motivational, and it's just the realities of everyday struggles in life. And this book is exactly what it says. It's a comfort book. It's all the things you need to hear to make yourself feel better, and they're really truthful and honest and helpful information. So that's why I've reread it. I just felt like I needed a moment of kind of reminding myself of what's important to recognise and what's not important. So I just find it really inspirational. So those are the 17 books I've read, not including the one I didn't finish. 17 books. And because I've read some books, like one of them I did have a physical copy. The Comfort Book I have got a physical copy, but I will keep that one because I would reread it. I'm now gonna get these books, these teaching books, these other books that I had and don't need anymore. I'm going to sell these, so the money is going to be able to be used in hopefully charity shops to buy some other books. But I'm really loving using the library service on BorrowBox. I just think it's such a fantastic tool. You can have so many books going at once. I do have I have 2 audiobooks at the moment and 3 ebooks, but I am reading all of them. I do like to flick between different books depending on my mood, so I am always like got a few books on the go, and I've got a couple of books upstairs as well, and I've got lots of reserves. That's the only downside with the library service, is that you might have to wait a few months for a really popular book. Like I've got one that's not available until May, but it's on my list and it's an expensive book to buy. It doesn't seem to be reducing in price, so I begrudge buying it unless I know it's a really good book and I would reread it, or it's a favourite author. So there are kind of stipulations around books I would buy. It has to be one that I think is going to be something that I'll really love, or a favourite. So I've got a good few books on reserve at the minute. I've got Lessons in Chemistry, Intermezzo, Tomorrow, Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I've also got Butter and Everything I Know About Love. That's what's on reserve at the minute. And I've got Good Material, The Remains of the Day, and I've got Homecoming, Anxious People, and Letters from something stationery shop. So those are the books that I'm working on at the minute. And I also track my books through Storygraph. That's the app I use to see how I'm doing. And what's really nice is I set a reading goal and I can work towards it. So I set my goal of having 50 books to read in the year, and I'm already at 17, so I've read 34% of my target, and I also gave a target of 40,000 pages to read, and I've read 5,185 pages, which is 13% of the target. I can also see my reading stats, which I find really fascinating. It tells you like how long roughly it takes you to read a book, what kind of moods it represents, and I just find that really fascinating. It tells you what kind of pace they are, what the average page length is, and what kind of genres. I just find that quite interesting to see those little bit of statistics to keep me motivated, and it keeps me tracking it, and that kind of keeps me going. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to read 17 books next month. It is slightly shorter in the month, isn't it? But I have got half term in there, so I may get some more books in. But the fact that I'm not watching as much TV in the evenings means I've got a lot of free time then to read. So hopefully I'm going to get through a few more books, and that will be great. Let me know if you like reading, or if you have any app preferences that you like to track your books on. I'd love to know. And have you read any of the books that I have read, or have you got any book recommendations that I can add to my reading list? That would be amazing. I should be back to update you on my reading next month. Bye.